This episode is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 seller of games and gaming accessories. And GatheringMagic.com, the #1 resource for Magic the Gathering news and articles.
Hey, this is Jonathan, and this is my Zedruu the Greathearted EDH deck. So the general is Zedruu the Greathearted. He's a 1 red, white, and blue for a 2/4 legendary creature, Minotaur Monk. Beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life and you draw X cards, where X is the number of opponents that control your permanents. You can pay a red, a white, and a blue to give one of your opponents one of your permanents. It's a lot more relevant for regular Zedruu builds, where you're more giving them mean things like Thought Lash and Jinx Idol and cards like that. I had that deck for a while, but it wasn't really that fun, so I decided to make it tribal. Once I knew they were going to have Minotaurs back in Ravnica block. Once in a while you can use his ability to give away extra lands to things you don't need, things that are global like Coat of Arms and mana rocks you don't need, and you can draw a bunch of cards and get back in the game fairly easily. The mana base is fairly basic. They have 12 mountains. The deck's mostly red. All unhinged, of course. There's 2 islands. 2 plains. Most of my decks are like around the regular 3 fetches, 3 shocks, whatever ones I can have that aren't revised jewels for money issues. So I have the Arid Mesa, Void Strand, Scalding Tarn, original Ravnica shocks, Hallowed Fountain, Secret Foundry, Steam Vents, Azorius Chancery, Boros Garrison, Izzet Boilerworks, 3 filters from Shadowmoor block, Cascade Bluffs, Mystic Gate, Rugged Prairie. The deck is red based, so I don't want to have all 3 of the M10 lands, so I just have Clifftop Retreat and Sulfur Falls, which I like because of the shock lands, and you're always going to have a mountain to get them on tap, so it's pretty nice. Cavern of Souls is pretty sweet. So once you cast any creature in your deck, no matter what, they're almost all 1 red or 2 red. Zedruu is 1 of each, a couple that are double, a few blue and white, but second player doesn't really matter too much with the countering. It could be okay if you're playing against the blue deck that might want to hinder your general, or maybe counter a key one like a Mirror Entity or some Lord, but it is fixing. Command Tower, pretty obvious. Exotic Orchard, I love this card in 3-color decks because there's almost always 2 if not 3 of the colors in your pod, especially with blue and white, which are extremely popular. Fuzzing Pool, same thing. With the mana base you have here, you're always going to have at least 2 colors, if not 3. Mystifying Maze is kind of sweet. It's kind of the theme, like Greek mythology with the Minotaur and the Maze. It keeps you alive too against like flyers, which you can't really deal with, but it's there for flavor. I want to get a Maze of it too once I can afford one. Slayer Stronghold is pretty generic, not really on theme, but it's strong land in a red-white deck to haste your creatures, give them vigilance. I run both Hideaway lands, Spinerock Knoll and Windbrisk Heights, which I love playing in aggro decks. They're so powerful. You can attack with 2 or 3 guys and turn them on or deal 7 damage. It's so easy. 3-color decks, I have a lot of mana rocks. I have, I think 5 or 6. Soul Rings, pretty obvious. Fellwar Stone, I love this card in 3-color decks. You always get your color, same as the pool. Chromatic Lantern, pretty obvious, great in every EDH deck. Coalition Relic, a staple, so good. Darksteel Ingot, probably the worst one of these, but it's indestructible, so keep it around when people try to wrath. This is kind of mana themed. I run this in all my tribal decks. It's really strong. You can make all your creatures cost 2 less. Most of them are Hill Giants, so they're only 4 or 5 mana, but it's still pretty nice to have this and you get a bunch out really quickly and just drop your hand. Mana Echoes also deals with mana. It lets you add 1 colorless mana whenever a creature comes in. Every creature that it shares a type with. So if you start with 1, you play second, you get 1 mana. And the more you go on the board, you can just empty your hand really quickly. And most of them are like 3 in a red or a lot of colorless, so you actually cast most of them off the mana you get off of this. Creatures are all Minotaurs except for 1. I think there's 35 creatures. A lot of them are from Homelands and earlier sets of Magic's history. From Homeland, there's Anaba Ancestor. It's a Minotaur Spirit, actually. It used to be a ghost. It taps to give any Minotaur +1/+1. It's pretty sweet. Minotaur Explorer was a random Minotaur they printed in Odyssey block. For some reason, they were exploring other planes. It's probably one of the worst cards in here. You discard a card at random when you cast it or you sacrifice it, so it usually has a drawback, but it's still 2 for a 3/3, so it's not too bad. Shapeshare, I have a few changelings. They're not really the best cards, but they're filler for now until I get more real Minotaurs and Theros block. You let you copy any creature that you have, or any creature on the board actually, but usually yours. You copy a Lord, Automaton, or some larger Minotaur that gets you more power. Automaton is pretty obvious. It's a generic Lord for any tribe. Boros Reckoner is an amazing card in Standard. Actually really good in EDH too. It's 3 for a 3/3. It combos with a few cards in my deck. There's one, Minotaur Illusionist, lets you sacrifice it to shoot one of your creature or player. And if you pump it with enough cards, you can sacrifice it to shoot the Reckoner, to shoot your opponent directly. He actually killed an opponent once a few weeks ago. Hurloon Minotaur, a classic, the original Minotaur. So sweet. Hurloon Shaman. It's probably one of the worst ones. It's a 2/3. Whenever it dies, everyone sacks a land. Usually it doesn't really matter, but it could hit a key land if somebody's mana screwed. This card is technically not legal, but anybody who complains about it would be totally wrong. This card is hilarious and it's actually quite strong. Almost everyone I know wears jeans going to FNM or LGS. And flavor text is amazing too. This card is, you gotta play this. Minotaur Warrior is a vanilla 2/3 from Portal. It's pretty sweet. Mirror Entity, one of the best changelings in Magic. This card alone lets you have any tribal deck just compete. Have any number of guys on the board, 5 or 6, a bunch of mana late game, pump it all into this, just kill people. Taurean Mauler, one of my favorite changelings. Any opponent plays a spell, you can add a counter to it, so it just grows. He's really good, especially early, like turn 3 or 4. Anaba Bodyguard, one of the worst ones in here, I guess, but he's 2/3 first strike from Homelands. One of my favorite sets in Magic. Another one, Anaba Shaman. It's reprinted, I think, in 8th or 9th edition. It's from Homelands. Taps to ping a creature or player. 4 for a 2/2. This guy is one of the natural rewards Minotaurs have. He's actually really good. Anaba Spiritcrafter, 4 for a 1/3. Gives all Minotaurs in play +1/+0. He's one of the ones you want to copy with Shapeshare. Canyon Minotaur is a new Hill Giant for core sets. It's an awesome card all around. Gorehorn Minotaur is kind of the same thing. Costs an extra red, but he has Bloodthirst too. The post-combat you play him, you get a 5/5. Karplusan Minotaur is really sweet. A rare Minotaur from Cold Snap. It lets you flip coins. Every turn you add a counter, and you win the flip, you shoot your target of choice, and you lose a flip, they shoot target of choice for 1. So he just builds up, he never goes away unless they want to kill him off, so it's a lot of fun. You can actually get a lot of damage done with him. Labyrinth Minotaur, I think he's the only natural mono blue Minotaur. He's pretty cool. Anything he blocks, don't untap their next untap step, so he's pretty good at keeping you alive. He has not much attacking, but he's pretty cool for flavor. Order Skull Pass is one of the strongest ones, probably for limited, maybe constructed. Wasn't really played in standard, but in draft it was quite the bomb. He's 4 for a 3/3. It's like a hill giant. You can level him up for 2 mana. Level 1 gets him to a 6/6, and then level 6, whenever he attacks, hits all your opponent's creatures. So the defending player controls for 6, which is great against token decks, any kind of creature deck really. He's a mana sink for all the mana you get off mana echoes or mana rocks. Minotaur Tactician is one of the cards from Invasion block. He's only a 1/1 on his own, but he has haste. But if your general is out, he gets +1 for being a white creature and a blue creature in play, so 3/3s, pretty cool. Ordruun Veteran is from Gatecrash. He's one of the newer Minotaurs. He's 3/1 battalion whenever he gets double strike, so if you get enough guys on the board and you're swinging and get an open opponent, you can deal quite a lot of damage with him. Raging Minotaur is a 3/3 haste for a 2 red from Portal. He's better than most Hell Giants because he has haste, which is pretty cool. And there's another card, the same exact text, Hurloon Minotaur from Mirage. Pretty cool. Warmonger is one of the worst ones in here. It's part of the Monger cycle in Mercadian Masks. Usually he could backfire if opponents want to shoot all creatures for 3 or 2 mana for 1 damage over and over. But usually if I have like enough anthems, I can have like 5/5 and I can just do it for 3 or 4 to clear the board and get some attacks through. Hits players directly too, so it's some direct damage. Scalding Minotaur is from Prophecy. He's a hill giant, but he has first strike, and any opponent can pay 2 mana to make him lose first strike, which is kind of a drawback, but nobody really cares that much usually. So just another Minotaur in the deck. Blaze Commando is one of the newest Minotaurs from Dragon's Maze. Whenever one of your instant or sorcery spells deals damage, period, you get 2 1/1 red and white soldiers into play with haste. I'm pretty sure I have very few burn spells, so it actually doesn't really do much, but he's still 5 for a 5/3, and he's both colors, so he's pretty cool. Kazul Warlord is from Zendikar, Minotaur Warrior ally. Whenever he or any ally enters the battlefield under your control, you can put a +1 counter on all your Minotaur, all your allies. And in this deck, I have 2 or 3 Changelings in him, so he's 4/4 naturally, and then you can get a couple of +1s out of him, so he's pretty cool. Minotaur Illusionist, I mentioned him before for the Boros Reckoner combo, but you can get Shroud, and you can sack to shoot any creature, so you can kill off things if you need to. And he's blue and red, which is rare for a Minotaur. Tahngarth, Taurean Hero, is a legendary Minotaur. He's from Planeshift. He has Vigilance, and he can tap to fight target creature, which is kind of like the Illusionist, where you have a way to deal direct damage with the Reckoner. So you can attack, and then you can pump them, tap, shoot Reckoner, or you can just attack, kill their blocker, you can get him through. It gives you removal, which the deck definitely needs. Taurean Champion, he's a 3/3 for 5, first strike. Whenever he blocks or is blocked by any creature, they lose first strike, so he's going to win a lot of combats. Might be a rare actually. Taurean Piper, it's probably one of the worst ones, but there's very few to work with, so I'm running all the ones I can for now. It's 5 for a 3/3. Any creatures with flying have to block him, so once in a while it's actually relevant where you attack against like Azorius deck, like Asperia or something, and they just, they have 5 or 6 big guys in play, they all block him because they have to, and the rest of your guys get through, which is pretty nice. We have Brass Herald, 6 for a 2/2. Artifact creature Golem. He's the only non-Minotaur in the deck. Comes into play, you choose a creature type, and you reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You put all the revealed ones of the type into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library. He's like a Ringleader basically, but he's for any creature type, so I like him in a lot of tribal decks. For a card draw, especially with 35 in the deck, you're going to get at least 2 cards off him usually. He also is a Lord, so he pumps all the Minotaurs by 1, which is pretty nice. One of the best cards in the deck is the Taurean Horn Sorcerer. The blue-red Minotaur is from the new Plane Chase product. 3/6 Cascade, which hits a lot of cards in your deck. And for 3 mana you can bounce him. You can cast him over and over again and get a lot of value if you're mana flooded, so he's really strong. This is Boros Battle Shaper. It's from Dragon's Maze. He's a rare Minotaur. 5/5 for 7. Beginning of each combat, you can make one creature attack or block this combat if able, and one target creature can't attack or block this combat. So you make one of the guys block, one of them can't block, so you can... it's kind of tricky, kind of like a Master of Warcraft kind of thing, where you can mess with combat. It's larger than most. 5/5 is pretty big for a Minotaur. Probably the biggest Minotaur of all so far is a Minotaur Aggressor. He's an uncommon from Return to Ravnica, 7 for 6/2, first strike and haste. It's kind of expensive, but with a lot of the mana echoes and mana rocks, you can actually get him out pretty fast. And first strike haste is pretty hard to deal with. That's all the creatures. So I have a number of cards that help anthems that pump the creatures and help you get more damage. So you turn your Hill Giants and turn them into 5, 6, 7 power, and quite the deadly army once you get the board filled. This one is Shared Triumph. It's one of my favorite cards for tribal decks, just from Onslaught. Comes into play, you name a creature type, and all creatures of that type get +1/+1. So whatever type you name, you get +1. So it's a nice anthem. It's only 2 mana. Shared Animosity is a great card for tribal decks. 3 mana enchantment. Creature you control attacks, it gets +1 for every other creature that attacks that shares a type with it. Usually it's played in like goblin decks that can swarm fairly easily, or token decks. But in this deck they're all the same type anyways, and you have even like 4 guys, you get +3 for each attacker, so you get so much power from a 3 mana enchantment. This is Door of Destiny. It's a staple tribal card. It goes in pretty much every deck you have that's tribal. You name whatever type when it comes in, and you cast a spell of that type. It gets a charge counter, and all your guys get +1 for that number of counters. So usually it's just creatures, but some tribes have spells, like goblins have fodder launch and things like that. And here, any guy you cast, you get +1 to all your guys. You can do the Minotaur Horn Sorcerer, or Taurean Horn Sorcerer, you can bounce him over and over and recast him and slowly just build this up and make all of your guys like a 10/10. It's quite strong. Coat of Arms is a pretty obvious tribal card. It's better for decks that can swarm like the other anthems, but in here it's just, the board is clear and you have more guys than anyone else. You get at least +3, +4, maybe more if they have changelings. These aren't anthems, but they're enchantments to help you get more damage in. It's not really on theme, but it's a heavy red deck, so it's triple red card. I figured it'd be pretty good. 2 does violence. Any of your creatures deal with combat damage, any damage to a creature or player, it deals double that damage instead. It's basically a double strike for any guy that you have attacking. So if you have a couple 3/3s, they turn into 6 damage if the board is clear, and they trade better in combat. It's just so much power for your attacks. This card is similar to that one. It costs 1 more, less red, but it gives them actual double strike. Rage Reflection is the enchantment from the Reflection Cycle in Shadowmoor. This is like the best card in the deck. Everyone's heard about it because shooting up on Star City because of the speculation on the core set and Theros block. Didgeridoo from Homelands. 1 mana artifact, 3 mana. You put a Minotaur in from your hand. You don't cast it, it's snuck into play. They can't counter it, do whatever you want. Mid-combat, EOT, upkeep, doesn't matter. You save a mana on all your Hill Giants, and if they cost more, you save even more. You put in the 7 mana one, save 4 mana. This card is broken. If it was any other tribe, people would be nuts over it. People joke about it. This card is the real deal. This card is my favorite card in the deck, or one of them. I don't know how I thought of it, but the Minotaurs in the art, they're always getting picked on in all these blue spells. Dizzy spell, it gives creature -3/-0, which you're never going to cast, but it can actually transmute for 1, which gets you Soul Ring or Didgeridoo, 2 of the best cards in the deck. This card is awesome. This card you all know from Standard, Boros Charm. It's actually a burn spell that can deal the damage for the one that makes the tokens. It can make all your guys indestructible. If somebody tries to Wrath, it can give one guy double strike. So if you have like a 7/7 or 5/5, you can get some extra damage in. Probably almost always going to be the middle ability, but Minotaurs in the art, it's quite good. Next couple cards aren't really on theme. I mean, they're just theme cards. They have Minotaurs in the art or the flavor text, and they're there just for flavor. This one, Power Stone Minefield, is a enchantment from Apocalypse. Any creature attacks or blocks, this deals 2 damage to it. It's like a mini, like a double Caltrops. Most of the guys in here are 3/3, so it doesn't really affect them. So usually you can kill a lot of small chump blockers with this. The art depicts Grizzlegom. He's a legendary Minotaur. He was a commander of the Coalition forces during the wars against Phyrexia in the storyline. And he's in a couple flavor texts, so he's there for flavor reasons, but it's really cool. This card is from Ravnica, Rally the Righteous. It has the ability Radiance, which untaps target creature and gives all creatures of the same color +2/+0. Which in here they're all going to be red, so it gives all your guys +2, instant speed. Target Zedruu targets all your guys because no matter what they're going to be red, white, or blue. There's another small anthem. This card has a Tangarth flavor text and a Tangarth in the art in the heat of battle. Destroys an artifact and draws the card, which is always nice. I think it's the only artifact kill on the whole deck, but it's just there for flavor. But the art's pretty sweet. Pete Venters. This card is one of the few card draw cards in the deck. It's there for flavor. The art depicts Grizzlegom and Drownu and the 3rd commander of the allied forces. Makes target player draw a card for every basic land they control, which is domain. Might be a keyword now. I'm not sure if they changed it. Usually you're going to get the mountain and one of the other 2. Maybe you have shock, so it's going to be 5, draw 3, which is fine. This is the only card that has Zedruu in the flavor text from the Commander expansion. Whenever it's enchantment, 6 mana, whenever Martyr's Bond or any other non-link permanent you control dies, an opponent has to sack a permanent, or each opponent sacks a permanent for a card that can type with it. So they kill one of your guys, they lose one of their guys, so it's like a Grave Pact. But it also works for artifacts and enchantments too, so if somebody lost your commands or whatever, you can hit them back. So you can deal with enchantments, you can deal with artifacts, you can deal with anything, lands even, or not non-lands, but all regular permanents. This card is really nice. Master Warcraft, 4 mana instant. It has a Minotaur in the art, devising a battle strategy or something. You have to cast it before attackers are declared, which I found out the hard way on Moto because I missed a chance to win with it. So you attack and then you cast, or right before you attack, you cast it. And you choose creatures that have to attack this turn and how they block this turn. So you have an army, they have whatever, they're ready to block. You can do this, and you can get them all your guys through for 1 turn. Usually kill an opponent, maybe 2. Quite strong. This isn't really Minotaur flavor, but it's kind of Boros themed from Dragon's Maze. It's a 2 mana enchantment. It gives all your red creatures +1/+0. Which is everyone in the deck minus like 2. Your white creatures get a large toughness. You can pay 2 mana and exile it. You can exile all creatures you control and bring them back at the end of the turn. So opponent Wrath, you can save all your guys. So you can just keep this on the board, keep it around, and wait for somebody to Wrath so you don't get blown out. The next couple are travel cards that are kind of generic from the last couple of blocks. This one is a 4-mana aura, Call to the Kindred. You can enchant a creature. Depending on your upkeep, you may look at the top 5 cards of your library. If you do, you put a creature into play that shares a type with one of your creatures that is enchanted. So you have 35 guys in the deck. Your odds are, at top 5, you're going to hit at least 1, if not 2, to pick from. So usually you can get some value off it. Doesn't matter who you put it on. You can put it on any random 3/3, doesn't matter. As long as they stay alive, you can get value. Free guys. Distant Melodies, like nice card draw spell. It's from Morningtide. You draw a card for every creature type that you name. If you name Minotaur, you probably draw at least 3, maybe 4. It's only costs a single blue, so it's splashable. Easy to cast when you're low on blue mana. This is the last card. It's probably one of the few generic cards in here that aren't really on theme, but it's just one of the best red cards in EDH. Insurrection lets you win games you can't win otherwise. You can play defensive, you can lie low, wait for everyone to tap out, just cast this, take everything, kill people. There's nothing really to explain here, it's just good. Thanks for watching TMDR Decks. Please subscribe and favorite.